everyone, my name is Nurhasanah and my MPM is 078. I am from R4B class, and in this video I would like to talk about a very important topic, which is the nature of teaching and learning. So in this presentation I will explain what teaching and learning are, how they work, and why they are important in our lives. Okay, now let's begin it. First of all, let's talk about the definition of teaching and learning. Teaching can be defined as a process where a teacher delivers knowledge, skills, and value to students. It is not only about giving information, but also about helping students understand the material. On the other hand, learning is a process where students receive, understand, and develop knowledge through study and experience. So, we can say that teaching and learning are closely connected. They always happen together in the educational process. For the example is, when a teacher explains a lesson, students listen and try to understand it. That is where teaching and learning happen at the same time. Now, let's move on to the characteristic of teaching. Teaching is not something that happens randomly. It is actually a planned and organized activity. Before teaching, a teacher usually prepares the lessons, including the goals, materials, and strategies. This helps the teaching process become more effective. In addition, teaching can be done in different ways. Sometimes it is teacher-centered, where the teacher explains most of the time, but in other situations, it can be student-centered, where students are more active in discussion and activities. Both approaches are important and can be used depending on the situation. Next, we talk about the characteristic of learning. Learning is an active process. This means students cannot just sit and listen, but they need to participate and be involved. Learning is also continuous. It doesn't stop after class ends. Students can continue learning at home or in daily life. Another important thing is that learning is based on experience. For example, when students practice something many times, they understand it better. So learning can happen anywhere, not only in the classroom. Now, let's look at the factors that affect learning. Learning is not always the same for every student because it depends on several factors. One important factor is motivation. If students are interested and motivated, they will learn more effectively. Another factor is the environment. A comfortable and supportive classroom can improve learning. Teacher quality is also very important. A good teacher can explain clearly and make the lesson easier to understand. And finally, learning resources like books, internet, and media also support the learning process. Now, let's discuss some teaching methods. There are many methods that teachers can use to help students understand the material. One common method is the lecture method, where the teacher explains the lesson clearly. Another method is discussion, where students share their ideas and opinions. There is also practice or exercise, which helps students improve their skills. And in modern education, many teachers use technology such as videos, presentations, or online platforms. These different methods make the learning process more interesting and effective. Next, let's talk about the role of the teacher. A teacher is not only someone who gives knowledge. They have many important roles in the learning process. The first role, a teacher is a facilitator, which means they help students understand the material. And the second is they are a motivator who encourage students to keep learning. They also act as guide, helping students when they have difficulties. So the teachers plays a very important role in creating a good learning experience. On the other hand, students also have an important role. Students shouldn't be passive. They need to be active participants in the learning process. They should ask questions, share ideas, and try to understand the material. Students are also responsible for their own learning. This means they need to study, practice, and manage their time. In addition, students should think critically and solve problems, so learning will be more effective if students are active and responsible. Now, let's talk about the importance of teaching and learning. Teaching and learning are very important because they help students gain knowledge and develop skills. They also prepare students for their future, especially for their careers. Besides that, teaching and learning help people grow as individuals. They improve thinking skills, creativity, and communication. In a larger context, education also helps build a better society. So, teaching and learning are not only important for individuals but also for the community. Finally, I would like to conclude my presentation. Teaching and learning are two important processes that are closely connected. They play a very important role in education and in our daily lives. Good teaching can support better learning, and active learning can improve understanding. Therefore, we should continue learning throughout our life because learning never stops. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope this presentation is useful. See you next time and have a great day.